Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Bleav in Steelers postgame show. My name is Mark Bergin. Going to discuss some thoughts today from last night's Sunday night football thriller. The Steelers come up short. They've lost two straight now. The final 20-17. Welcome in. My name's Mark Bergin. Going to be talking about the top reasons the Steelers lost and what they do moving forward, because it's of my opinion that Justin Fields played his worst game as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we get too far ahead, let me pay some bills. Today's episode of Bleav in Steelers is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. This site is still working on its line for week 6 when the Steelers hit the road and play the Las Vegas Raiders. But if you want to get in on the football action this fall, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it. Use our promo code Bleav. That's BLEAV. You can see that on your screen right now to get started over at BetOnline. BetOnline, the game starts here. Came down to what was the final offensive play for the Cowboys. 4th and goal, and Dak Prescott finds Jalen Tolbert on a crossing route. He had too much time to throw. And there's a reason why Prescott's among the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. He's a good quarterback, and he had too much time to throw. Now, why is that? TJ Watt was on the field for a lot of this game, an absolute game wrecker in this game, but your only other healthy edge rusher was Jeremiah Moon, because DeMarvin Leal left with the stinger, and then more importantly, Nick Herbig left with a hamstring injury. Neither player returns, and Herbig, I thought, was having his best game as a Steeler. It was on Wisconsin, the quarterback between he and TJ Watt. But this was the first game where the Steelers lost time of possession, and that wear and tear added up because the Steelers offense did not get it done. And this is where we're going to discuss Justin Fields' performance in this game and whether the Steelers should start Russell Wilson in week 6 against the Raiders. Fields finished with 131 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. At halftime, he had 35 yards passing. And you might say, well, Mark, did you not see the weather in Pittsburgh? The game was delayed. Why is that? Dak Prescott had 188 yards passing at halftime. Again, Justin Fields had 35. Prescott finishes with 352 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The Steelers won the turnover battle. They won it 3-1. But in all seriousness, Fields played, it was a bad game. On the very first drive of the game, and let me go to the first half, because the Steelers, against one of the worst defenses in the NFL, score 3 points in the first half. Very first drive of the game, Fields missed Connor Hayward on a wheel route where if he delivers it on the money, it's a touchdown. Now, I understand there was a defender in Fields' face, but he missed the throw. And then he had Darnell Washington with about a half step with the defender. If he delivers the ball on time and on target, if it's not a touchdown, you're in the red zone. Sets up a field goal. And it's not so much of what we remember most recently with Fields. He leads the Steelers on 2 touchdown drives in the second half, and that's great. Where's that in the first half? It's a full 60-minute game. And in the first half, 3 points against this defense, a defense that's missing Micah Parsons. And is it DeMarcus Lawrence, the 2 best linemen for the Cowboys, missing in this game? Their other edge rusher got hurt during the game, and you can only score 3 points in the first half against this Cowboys defense. A Cowboys team that coming into this game had beaten the Giants and had beaten the Browns. Not good. And I wouldn't move to Russell Wilson in week 6, but I'd have him on ice. I'd have him ready to go. I would give Fields another start. I would want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Fields did not play well last night. And the running, there's going to be designed runs for him. That's a good thing. But your leading rusher for the Steelers, Najee Harris, for 42 yards. Harris was also the Steelers' leading receiver with 35 yards. Najee's lack of production this year, I don't think has so much to do with him, so much as is up front with the injuries and how you're banged up, you're not getting the same push up front. So for that reason, with the injuries on the offensive line, I would continue to start Fields, but I would have Wilson ready to go because 3.5 points isn't going to cut it against the Cowboys. And we can talk about, well, the game didn't come down to what happened in the first half. It came down to what happened late. And I'm with you. Maybe Mike Tomlin should have saved the timeout. With 20 seconds left, the Steelers have to try to march down the field, no timeouts, and get into field goal range for Chris Boswell. You knew that wasn't going to happen, or it wasn't going to be very likely. But 3 points in the first half against that Cowboys defense? Nah, that's not going to cut it. That is not going to cut it. 352 yards of offense for Prescott, of passing yards for Prescott. Rico Dowdle had 87 yards on the ground. Jalen Tolbert, 7 catches, 87 yards and a touchdown. So I thought the Steelers did a decent job taking away CeeDee Lamb. But Beanie Bishop, I thought, also had a terrible game for the Steelers. I thought he was poor in the slot. Really bad game for the Steelers. Defense just couldn't get off the field. And let's talk about third down efficiency really quickly, because that really told the tale in this game. The Cowboys, 9 of 15 on third downs. The Steelers, 3 of 12. And that's why you lose time of possession in this game. And so you've lost 2 straight now in a game that, honestly, I expected the Steelers to win. I genuinely expected the Steelers to win last night, and it didn't happen. And again, with Fields' performance, just missing throws. And again, if you want to blame the weather, why is Dak Prescott able to throw for 352 yards? Now, some positives if you're a Steelers fan from last night's game. TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, unreal. Unreal, the amount of pressure they had Prescott under, but it didn't end up ultimately going in Pittsburgh's way. But the way those two guys were flying to the football on Wisconsin to the quarterback, I thought Herbig had a very nice redemption game from a week ago. The strip sack fumble, he and Watt converged at the quarterback. They were covered. Joey Porter Jr. had an interception. Dante Jackson had an interception. Again, you won the turnover battle 3-1. But can you imagine in this game, if Dallas protects the ball, this is probably a more lopsided victory for the Cowboys. And that's where I point back to offensively. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'd continue to start Fields in week 6, but Russell Wilson, I'm starting to move to the idea that they should move to him. They will, I think, at some point this season. I don't think week 6 is ready, but it was interesting during the broadcast where they were saying that he'll be ready next week, where the calf injury is no longer. So that's going to start to leak out more and more and more with Russ. What do you do at the quarterback position? But Fields, I thought, was the worst we've seen him as a Steeler. He had less passing yards in week 2 against Denver. But again, the Steelers, too, their lack of running game and the lack of push up front and trying to win time of possession. I get that they can do it by committee with Harris and Warren and Cordero Patterson and Fields when they're all healthy. Steelers don't have a 100-yard rusher this season. I'm going to play ground and pound football, fine. If you're going to do that by committee, fine. But eventually, someone's going to have to get the hot hands. And they're just not getting the push up front. And that was my concern. And they're not getting the push up front. Again, the Cowboys missing key players. Key players. Autumn checking in. Autumn saying we are not good enough right now. Chad also saying we need smart players who play well together. I didn't think was it last year. Yeah, that's the reason why they didn't pick up Najee's 5th-year deal. Mel checking in. This is a great point, Mel. Steelers are 0-2 without Alex Highsmith. So we're getting to what Yinz think. That's where I get to viewer comments a little bit early today. And if you want to, I've left the StreamYard link pinned to the comments of the live chat. If you want to call in live here into Bleav in Steelers, there's something I'm going to try here. If anyone wants to call in and is willing to, you can hop in live and share your thoughts here on Bleav in Steelers. Just tap the StreamYard link. It's pinned to the live chat. A lot of different ways you can get involved with Bleav in Steelers. We've got Apple, we've got Spotify. Financially, you can leave a super chat as well, where you can financially support Bleav in Steelers. So we appreciate all of the listeners and the viewers here on the Bleav in Steelers show. But let me know what you think in the chat. What did you think of Fields' performance? I thought he just missed throws that I think he normally makes. Now, Hayward late in the game did have a drop, and eventually they convert on 4th down on that second to last drive where they took the go-ahead score and Pat Freiermuth punched it in. I know Hayward did score out of the 3rd quarter. Where is that urgency in the 1st quarter? Where's that urgency when Dallas scores a field goal in the first drive of the game? Hey, we're going to go score a touchdown, not just settle for field goal fest. I thought Fields just missed throws last night. And I'm not going to blame weather for it because I thought Prescott played a really good game. Prescott outplayed Fields in last night's game, straight up. Straight up. That's just the honest truth. It's just the honest truth. 35 yards of passing at halftime for Justin Fields. And then again, he finishes the game with 131 yards passing. Let me get to those rushing totals too. I'm bringing up the box score on my end. Fields, 6 rushes for 27 yards. The Steelers' longest run last night, 8 yards. Yikes. 8 yards rushing is your top rush in last night's game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Part of it's on Fields. Part of it's they're not getting the push up front that they need. You can blame injuries. I know Isaac Seumalo is getting back from an injury. Seumalo on the one play got absolutely worked by the tackle, Linval Joseph. And Fields fumbled. He was able to recover. I thought it was a strange challenge by Mike McCarthy. Oh, boy. Just not getting the push up front that you need to be able to run the ball effectively. And this was a game where if the elements and the weather are a factor, you got to be able to run the ball. Steelers could not do that. And first game they've lost time of possession this season. Steelers have been really good with TOP this year. Is the first game where they did not do that. Let's get to some other comments. KG Beat saying, I think this offense has reached its peak with Fields. Might be time to see what Russ can do. 3 turnovers and a blocked field goal. That should be a win all day. Yeah, KG, thank you for checking in. And let me get to that point. Dallas had 3 turnovers, 11 penalties, 25% in the red zone. Steelers had multiple takeaways and a blocked field goal. Steelers also had a blocked field goal in this game too. So almost count that as a turnover because you're taking points off the board. And the Steelers still find a way to lose. Offense has to get better. Again, I would start Fields in week 6 against the Raiders. Russ, you got to be ready to go because if it looks like this again, I'd probably give Fields the whole game. But if it looks like this throughout a whole game, not going to get it done. And I will say this, though, too, because you can't run the ball right now. If you're Pittsburgh, you're struggling to do that. Fields' legs are as big of an asset even when he struggles in the passing game. But 3 points in the first half with the defense without Mike Parsons. What is going on? Temple saying this. Temple checking in saying, a tough decision this week with Fields versus Wilson. Yeah. How Mike Tomlin handles this during his Tomlin Tuesday news conference. It's always fascinating to watch. He's in year 18. Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing to frame it for what's best for the Steelers. But those calls for Wilson after last night's performance are going to get louder and louder. And specifically, too, because it was a primetime game, because it was on Sunday Night Football. If Fields had balled out, it would be like, yup, this is why he's the guy, and this is why he has to remain the starter. Again, I'd continue to start Fields, but the way the offense performs, your 2 touchdown drives, I need that same urgency. I need that same production in the first half. You can't be playing these 2 halves. Tale of 2 halves. Autumn also checking in again. Autumn says, George Pickens is one of our best players. What are we doing to get him the ball and get Muth the ball? We should have never traded away Deontay Johnson. We need a wide receiver too. Autumn, I get your frustration there. And George Pickens, 3 catches, 26 yards. Now, they did target him 7 times, George Pickens. So 3 catches for 7 receptions. That's not good. It's not good efficiency. got to find a way to get the ball to their best playmaker, and that's George Pickens offensively. He is, by far. Kyle Allen comes into the game for an injured Fields, and he finds Pat Freiermuth. Freiermuth had the touchdown on the Steelers' final score of the game. Got to find ways to get them the ball, and then I like that they're getting Darnell Washington more involved in the passing game. If you can get him the ball, he's massive. Find ways to get the ball to your playmakers, and that's where the passing totals in this game for the Steelers. Ooh. Mel saying Muth wasn't target on the Kyle Allen throw. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Mel. Got to find I would get George Pickens more involved in early, get him in rhythm early. And they always say, well, the cliche was to have the run set up the pass. Why not have the pass set up the run? And I would find ways to get George Pickens the ball in space and not just say, hey, bail us out on 4th down and long, to get him the football consistently. Let me know what you think. Who do you think should start next week? Again, I'm in Fields camp. I would start Fields against the Raiders. The line's not out for this game yet in week 6. I checked BetOnline.ag this morning, so I'm curious to see. I would imagine Pittsburgh will be the favorite on the road, but Steelers have lost 2 straight. You've got to find a way to get this right. In a game that, against a banged-up Cowboys team, I expected to win. Expected to win with 3 takeaways and a blocked field goal. And you can only muster 17 points against a Cowboys defense that hasn't been very good this year. It's almost like, when you play down to your level of competition, it felt like that a little bit last night for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not seeing any other comments. My name's Mark Bergin. This is the Bleav in Steelers postgame show. Be back later this week to get you ready for week 6 against the Raiders. Can't wait to see what Mike Tomlin says during his Tomlin Tuesday news conference. And then what the Steelers are going to do at the edge rushing position. You know what you have in TJ Watt. That's great. He played out of his mind last night. Second fastest player to 100 sacks behind only Reggie White. So he made some history last night. Triple-digit sacks already for TJ Watt. Incredible feat. But Alex Highsmith's still out with the groin injury. Nick Herbig with a hamstring. He's probably going to miss a week. If hamstrings, the only way those get better are just with rest. And then, okay, could DeMarvin Leal come back? I'd imagine he would if it's just a stinger in his shoulder. Jeremiah Moon. Who's going to be that guy to where the attention that TJ Watt garners with 2 or 3 offensive players to be able to block him off the edge? The guy who's one-on-one opposite of TJ Watt, who eats? It's a huge question I have going into week 6. And I thought Herbig played much better last night when he played versus the week before in week 4 against the Colts. I thought he was much better last night. So Steelers they have their work cut out for them. They do in week 6 against the Raiders. Temple saying that Pittsburgh's favored -3. We'll see if this line moves. Temple, thank you for letting everyone know about the line for week 6. Steelers 3 points favorites on the road against the Raiders. Autumn saying start Fields against the Raiders, but after that start Russ. I want to see if Fields can have a redemption game. I thought Fields played well coming out of halftime, scoring on the initial drive. I know he left the game for a little bit and then came back in. 2 touchdowns in the second half, 2 touchdown drives, but 3 points in the first half. It's a whole game. We could talk about what happened at the end and the Steelers not getting it done and when it really counted, and Landon Roberts morphing into Troy Polamalu for a play, and how you want to get the stop defensively. Your defense did more than enough last night. 3 takeaways and a block. Your special teams blocked field goal. You should win that game. You should win that game. So what happens there is the offense. The offense last night just didn't show up when it needed to be able to handle the Dallas Cowboys. And if Dallas doesn't turn the ball over, I think that 20-17 final would have been a bit more lopsided. My name is Mark Bergin. Hope all of you have terrific Mondays. I'll be back later this week here on Bleav in Steelers. I want to thank today's presenting sponsor, BetOnline.ag, over on Apple and Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on YouTube. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. My name is Mark Bergin. Have a great rest of your weeks. I'll see you later this week. Till then, take care. So long, everybody.